Okay, so I am doing this because I just feel like it needs to be said. Well, I don't know. Whatever. First of all, let's just talk about my hair. Let's ignore it for now. Had purple hair and it was a washout hair color, and it's taking its time to wash out of my hair because my hair is very porous, so I don't damage it. I'm just allowing the color to cool itself out. Anyways, first of all, I was doing some research today because there was a child at my son's school that passed away over the weekend, and I was able to find out who it was. He had told me who it was. She was 12, and I was looking at her obituary because they were friends, and I wanted to find out a little bit more about her and stuff because he had talked about her before. Anyway, she was 12 and she committed suicide. She was a girl that people had explained that was a very outgoing, loved to make people smile kind of person, but she had battled depression at 12. And I think that in this world, this mental health crisis is just getting worse and worse. Like when I was 12, I might have had some issues, but I can't think that it was to that point. And I just think it's sad that we are having so many issues with kids having these kind of problems at such a young age. I mean, you see these kids getting younger and younger that are essentially choosing to end their lives, and it's just it saddens me. It's a whole conversation I'm trying to have with my kid, and when my daughter's older, obviously talk to her about it. But it's just like we all know suicide is a thing, and I'm sure everybody out there knows somebody that was close to them or somebody that they were aware of or knew of that had chosen to end their life, and it's just sad. So in my life, I feel like it relates with me because I just think that there's just been so much death lately around me. Just people that I've known. One of my friends from high school recently passed away. Don't know what happened, and it's fine. But he was my age. I was 28, and it's just that's sad. Another person that I had known has also passed away. And more recently for me, closer to me I should say, was my grandmother. And that was kind of something that I knew was going to be happening. We were aware that she was getting worse, and she had suffered a massive stroke one day at the home that she was residing in. And she had already had a history of dementia, and things, her health was declining. And when she was in the hospital the day that this had happened, she was there, but she wasn't there. And it was a little bit of suffering for a little while there. I mean, she couldn't talk, she couldn't really do anything, she didn't eat. And then finally she was at peace. And it's been a really hard thing, and losing a grandparent's hard, and I've lost both of my grandparents now, and I don't want to say lost, because they're not gone, but I can't physically speak to them in front of me. My grandpa has been he's been gone since 2016, and now my grandmother, so I feel at peace with it. But it has brought a lot of other emotions for me. I've dealt with a lot of anger, but not anger at her death necessarily, because again, it was something that I was kind of prepared for, and I've had a lot of support around that, and I've tried to support my family as much as possible, mainly my mother, my brother, of course, and my sister-in-law and everything. But anyways, I had wanted to share a video a while ago, and I had just not been brave enough to share it, to really kind of put myself out there in some very personal experiences in my life. But I just feel like there's so much that people are not aware of people that are close to them, or you're close to them, however you want to spin it. Anyways, I didn't choose to post the original video that I had made, just because I felt like some things could have been kind of worded a little differently. So I hope you can take the time to actually watch this whole thing, and if you do, thank you. Appreciate it. It's a no judgment zone, but I think that there's a lot of things that people, you just don't know what people have gone through just by looking at them. So with my experience and what I wanted to share was about an instance that had happened to me when I was 16. I was a week after my 16th birthday. I'm gonna post a second video with this. That way, it's not this ridiculously long video. So give me just a minute. So I had turned 16, and when I was 16, I had gotten a surprise party thrown for me. And at this party, I had somebody that I was close with suggest about some boy that she had spoken with on this website that was really big back in the day. It was myyearbook.com. And she had came across this guy that, you know, they kind of talked a little bit, but it was nothing really big. It was just like, hey, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. But she had suggested that I speak with him because she felt like, you know, he was closer to my age. I was just a couple months older than he was. And he was my kind of type of guy. You know, he was this built, blue eyes, dark hair kind of guy. He was on the wrestling team in Columbia. And, you know, of course, I was just 16 and I had dated a guy before. So I was like, yeah, sure, what's his name? I'll talk to him. So him and I started talking, and then that following weekend we had arranged to hang out and meet, you know, in person, which was like a thing, you know what I mean? If you were with people, or if you wanted to meet new people or whatever, same as today, except, you know, I feel like there's a lot of crazies out there, so we're a lot more cautious now than we were back in the day. So anyways, we had about a whole week of conversation. You know, we were texting, we were messaging on this website, we called on the phone a couple times, and, you know, he seemed like a really, really cool guy, and there were no red flags for me. You know, it was never anything that opened me to think, that's a little odd, why would he say that? It was nothing ever like that at all. So we had arranged to meet at Park City Mall, which we did. My mom drove me there, and he had gotten a ride there as well, and I met him in the food court. And I was like, wow, this guy, he's cool, like, he's really cute. But then it just got really odd. We started walking out of the food court and walked outside, and he started walking around the mall looking for a cigarette, which for me, I was like, oh, this guy's badass, he's a smoker. I mean, I had grown up around smokers. My aunt and my uncle were smokers, and my brother was a smoker at the time. You know, so I really didn't see anything bad. Like, I was okay with it. Didn't really bother me or anything. And I didn't think the fact that this kid was 15, that it was a big deal, which obviously he was too young to be smoking, but I don't know. I just didn't really kind of think about that at the time. Anyways, we had gotten around the mall, walking around the mall, and then we started kind of like walking away from the mall. If you're familiar with Park City, there's a part of the parking lot where there is I think it's the Boscov's parking lot that connects you across the street to go under a bridge to go into Long's Park. And that is where he had sort of started directing me towards, and I asked him, I said, hey, we're not going to be in the mall, and he was like, no, I just thought it'd be a little quieter over here, you know, we could talk. And I was flattered. Like, I had nothing to think about with it. I just completely thought it was okay. So I did. I went with him, and, you know, I'm not going to go into the details from what happened then, but essentially what had happened is it was not an innocent sort of thing to take me there. He did end up brutally sexually assaulting me, and it was extremely traumatic. It was not something that night that I had really kind of understood what had just happened, because I had never had a sexual interaction with anybody or even really understood what was going on or what had just happened for me. After it was over, you know, we just started walking back, and I was in shock. I didn't really say much to him. I didn't say much to my parents at all when they picked me up. And when I got home, I took a really hot bath and I scrubbed myself with rubbing alcohol, like the kind of thing you put on a wound, like straight up rubbing alcohol. And I had told my best friend in high school, Mason, and I had also told my brother's girlfriend at the time, because I had no idea what was going on. Like, I was talking to my friend Mason while I was still in the mall waiting for my mom. And later at night, after I had taken a bath, I had talked to my brother's girlfriend. I had said, hey, I think I was just raped by this guy. So the thing with that, in specific to that evening, is that on the way there, my mom continuously told me not to leave the mall and absolutely do not go to Long's Park with him. You stay with him in the mall, do not go anywhere else. And I just thought, she's my mom. She doesn't really, she's just telling me that because she's being a mom, and I didn't even think about it when the time actually came. So essentially then, my mom kind of had a tuition, which she didn't know. Intuition. Sorry, not tuition. She had this kind of intuition, I think, kind of that she had a feeling about something, but she didn't really say much to me. But had I listened, it may not have obviously happened. But a lot of times, our kids, they don't listen. They think that we're just their parents and we don't know what the hell we're talking about. But I remember being so upset with myself because I couldn't even bear to tell my mom what had happened. And it took me 3 weeks to finally tell her, and she was crushed. Like, everyone around me knew that something was really, really wrong with me because I was in a really bad spot after this happened. And it was a lot of work to go through. I was scared. I didn't go to the cops because I didn't know what to do, and I had a part of the situation that had happened kind of made me feel like the cops wouldn't believe me, because he had been a repeat offender, so he kind of knew what he was doing. And at that time, he had asked me if I could give him gas money for his grandmother because she was the one that brought him, and that was how he would be able to hang out with me. And I had conjured it in my mind at 16 that if the cops had known that detail, then they would somehow say that I paid him for it or something. And I shouldn't have done that, but I didn't know any better. So for years I didn't really do anything about it. I told my friends. Well, not friends. I didn't tell everybody, but I told some people. And anyways, my point is, I had a couple of close friends that I was comfortable and open with, that I could talk to about things. And there was one friend of mine that I was very close to in several different ways, and I told her about it. And she didn't really have much of a response for me when I told her. She didn't really say much. And it had ended up that she had told some girls at school about what had happened. And I started getting all these anonymous things on social media from people saying very cruel things, because it was not a vaginal rape. It was strictly anal, so there was no vaginal penetration. It was strictly anal penetration. So that alone in itself, that kind of attack is also very traumatic, because you basically feel like an animal. I still have scars between my chest and on my knees from this night, and I'm 28. I was 16 at the time, so you do the math. Anyway, so she had told some people that I basically had cried rape, but I really wanted it, and I just felt guilty after the fact. And I had tried to address it several times over the course of time, to just kind of be like, hey, like, this is what it is. And there was just never a solid response or a solid understanding or any type of empathy or anything that happened with it. It was always just a very cold, stonewalled kind of response to me. And I would go to her with very, very significant feelings. There was one time I was in the car with her and a boyfriend at the time, and something had triggered me, and I got really upset, and he was the one to ask me, like, hey, are you okay? And I just kind of started freaking out, and I told him about what had happened, and he had to pull over because he felt sick, like he wanted to throw up. And that was really hard for me, the fact that somebody who doesn't even know me that well, because he only knows me through a friend, is giving me more of a response. Not because I'm looking for a response, but is understanding more, like, wow, this girl really went through something traumatic, and I just can't handle hearing this about somebody that I know. So that was really hard. And it's been hard for me for the last several years, because I did not go to school in 11th grade. I chose to do online classes, because I just couldn't face it, couldn't go to school, couldn't be seen by people. Like, I could not. I wanted to be by myself. I went through a really rough time mentally, And, you know, there were a lot of rumors about me, of course, about why I didn't come to school in 11th grade. A lot of people made up different shit that nothing made any sense at all. But I did choose to go back in 12th grade, and I came back 12th grade a lot more empowered and confident and just better with myself. I did a lot better. So anyways, that was a really hurtful time for me, but for whatever reason, you know, I didn't really have a lot of resources or support, and I didn't really know what to do. You know, my family wasn't really sure what to do. My mom, I should say, not my family. My mom wasn't really sure. She just, you know, she didn't want to push me. She just wanted to be there for me and support me. So I didn't really do anything. I didn't go to counseling. I didn't get any type of therapy. I didn't really do anything at all. So I just lived my life every day just with this overwhelming, terrible feelings all the time. And I could never understand it. You know, I started going through a lot of really bad phases in my life, and, you know, acting out in ways that were not me. And this friend that had been so cruel with me, I just kind of swept it under the rug, like, you know what, it's okay, you know, we're gonna get through this, and you love me, and you're gonna support me, and you're right, it's not a big deal. So I just kept on going and being really close with this person over the years, and not even seeing how toxic it was, and how much it had hurt me inside, and how much every single time it was hurting me. Because then, you know, if you're in high school, so there's all this competition and back and forth, just a lot of stuff that I do not need to go in detail with. The other thing that had happened in that whole ordeal was I had gone to the doctors with my mom after I had told her, and they had tested me for like STDs and all that kind of stuff just to be safe, you know, whatever. And I had disclosed to the gynecologist about being raped, and she did not take me serious at all. And when I said it to her, I said it in a very weepy, like, upset, like, I don't know if I want to say this out loud kind of thing. And her response to me blew my mind, because her response to me was something along the lines of saying that, you know, it's okay, sweetie, you're 16. If you want to be sexually active, you can just tell your mom it's okay. We can get you birth control pills. Just be careful. And I looked at my mom, and I looked at this lady like, are you kidding me right now? I didn't choose to be sexually active. I didn't choose to do this. I don't want to be sexually active. I don't even know the first thing about it. I barely even understood how the male anatomy worked at that time. And I had my period, but I wasn't like, I know what sex is. I know what all this stuff, like, I had no idea about any of that stuff. So it just really, really took me back when she had this kind of response. So then that was another thing that kind of sank me even deeper, that, wow, a medical professional isn't even going to report this. She isn't even going to take me seriously. And that was really hard for me as well to deal with. So anyways, I just continued living my life after this happened, and I just always had these really terrible feelings, and I just didn't do anything with it, and it just sucked. I had a lot of deeply rooted feelings and emotions, and just things I couldn't work through, and things I didn't understand. And I would be with this person, and every time I leave, I would be like, why do I feel so bad? And I just never understood it. But then, you know, it came to me, you know, I just started realizing later on in life that I know why this is. Because deep down, I have a lot of resentment towards this person and anger towards this person for always trying to be better than me. But then to also sit there and try to throw me under the bus and use me to look better about something because I had sexual interactions before this person. Or however it was that this person thought about it, that was the kind of context that I got from it. But to sit there and have somebody that you're so close with, and then have that person not only disclose a rape to a bunch of people without your consent, to let alone saying that this rape that was so traumatizing for you get told to a lot of people that it was not rape and I wanted it, and then having people write on my social media walls in this anonymous form, you know, oh, you like it up the ass, and you know, you like it on all fours, like really, really hurtful stuff. I've had a lot of things that I've worked through, and I mean, now as a 28-year-old, I mean, because I've had so much counseling and therapy and understanding and all of these things, it's a lot easier for me to talk about. But I think that those are the things that people do not understand when it comes to sexual assault or sexual violence or anything like that. Whether it be you were sexually assaulted or it's something completely different, if your mental health is struggling, if someone comes to you because they're struggling, we need to take them seriously, because you don't understand the damage that you're putting onto somebody when you don't just sit there and listen to them and try to get them the help that they need. That is a huge part in our life that we are just not aware of. And we as humans, why are we so afraid of listening to people that have something wrong with them? Why is it so hard for us to listen to somebody tell them, hey, this happened to me, and take them seriously, and not sit there and just brush it over like it's nothing? Because you have to think about all the things that people have been through and the kind of things we have done to help our people around you. There are people who are so happy on the outside. There are people who want to sit there and make everyone else around them so freaking happy all the time. But you don't know that inside they're not dying to feel that way. Literally dying to feel that way. Because I have seen that even in myself. I was always the class clown, so to say. Like, I was always cracking jokes and being funny with my girlfriends and, whatever, just trying to make everyone around me just feel this way. And I exemplify a very glowing personality where I love making people feel good about themselves. In the sense that it was when I was younger, it was much more in effect to take away the attention from me for the bad things that I was feeling, because I was afraid of my feelings because of how deep and dark they were and how just terrible I felt. But you have seen people that appear so happy. Robin Williams, a very famous actor, he had a lot of issues that he struggled with, but look how funny he was on the outside. Look at all the things he produced, and we're just not taking the time to check on the people around. So basically then what I'm saying is that you come into this circle, you come into this part of your life, and you have other people around you that you're interacting with, and you're not doing them any favors by not just supporting one another. Like, why are we so afraid to just get deep down and personal with each other and share our feelings? Because I'll tell you what, there are some people out there that don't give a shit about the way you feel, and they'll sit there and they'll use it against you. Those are not the right people to be around. Those people have issues that they have to deal with themselves. They are not the right people to be around. There are some people that you cannot open yourself up to, because they will put salt right on that wound, and then you will never heal from that. You will heal from it, but that person doing that takes so much in one person, that takes so much to overcome that feeling. So I mean, for me, I have had a lot of different struggles, and I would love to be able to be open with people and share what I've gone through and what has helped me over the years for someone that could be struggling with this, has struggled with it, or is struggling with it currently. Because there are so many more healthier, safer ways to deal with it, and there are so many good people out there that will help you, that will listen to you. I could sit there and I could talk to people all night about this kind of stuff. It is just the way that I am. It's the way that I'm wired. I have recently chosen to finally take the step to getting my degree in psychology, because I have felt so strong about this since I was a teenager. I had girlfriends in high school that I used to sit there and just counsel about stuff, and they would always come to me. I had one girlfriend I was super close with, and she would just drive to my house bawling her eyes out about some stupid boy, or it could be her parents or her dad or something. But I would just sit there and I would talk her through it, and I would help her find different ways to face her challenges and have a different perspective of things and kind of deal with things a little bit differently. And I know that I had helped her a lot in those times. I've always felt very passionate about that, and I just love helping people, and I have always just been so afraid of taking the first step into doing that. But after all the things I have been through in my life and all the things I see in this world, people need people. Good, wholehearted, positive people that are going to be there for you. When I had to finally, so going back into this rape case that I have had, I never reported, and I stayed friends with this person for a very long time. And I just, after high school, I started getting a lot closer with another girl that I was really close with in high school, but now we're best friends and we have our kids together. Like, it's a whole ordeal. Anyways, I started realizing with her, and then I had my first job, and I met a girl there that was really freaking cool. She was like a sister I never had kind of thing. Like, her and I were so similar in personality we were really close. And I just started realizing about how a good friendship goes and how someone that genuinely cares about you will treat you. There's never any type of like outdoing each other or, you know, not believing something when I tell you. Like it was always a two-way healthy friendship between me and these two girls. So eventually I had just started cutting this person off and just saying, okay, this is enough, 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 can't do this anymore. Because it wasn't the fact that this person, I didn't love this person, but it was the fact that I had trusted this person with something so terrible, so dark, so deep within me, and they just used it. Out of all the other things in the world that this person could have sat there and told somebody else about me, I mean, there's a lot of crazy things I don't freaking remember, but that's the one thing that this person chose to disclose to people and really just wrecked me for a long time. So years later, I met my husband, boyfriend, girlfriend at the time, and I had my daughter. And that was the time that I realized that I need some serious freaking help, because they start you with these tests after you have your baby about, you know, how you're feeling and everything. And I was scoring really, really high on these tests, and it got to a point one time where a doctor had actually come into this little office room at the gynecologist just with me, and had started going and saying about how they had these really serious concerns about my mental health. And that is when I kind of had to just, shit had to hit the fan at that point, where I had to say, no, it's not my daughter, I don't feel that way, here's what the issue is. And from then on, I was able to really just start exploring those feelings and allowing those feelings to kind of surface and start working through those things. I had eventually then, shortly after that, let's see here, my daughter was born in December, and I filed a police report in February. That police report was taken very seriously. I had a wonderful police officer that I confided in about this, and he took my statement and got me in contact with the detective from the special victims, what I'm gonna call it. I don't remember the exact name that Lancaster City Police uses for it. And I had gotten in contact with the Detective Higgins, and she was literally my Olivia Benson. Like, I know I'm obsessed with the show, but this lady, she has done so much for me, and I just so appreciate her. I knew when she was listening to me, she was really listening, and she had guided me in the direction of some really good counseling services and other things I could be doing. She would call me, she would check in on me. Like, she was really great through the whole process. She had actually gone and then went to his house and arrested him and charged him with rape in the first degree, a bunch of different things. And when it had happened, that the night that it happened, she actually called me to tell me that she had just arrested him. And I was like freaking the hell out. It was just crazy that this was actually happening. Of course, then, you know, the justice system can take a little while, whatever, and then COVID hit, so it was a very long, drawn-out thing. We did not go to court for this until, I want to say, either the end of last year or the beginning of this year. It has not been very long at all. I want to say it's the beginning of this year. And finally, it got taken to court, and he was charged. He pled guilty, no contender, something like that, where basically he was saying that, I know that you can technically put me here, but you don't have evidence to prove that this actually happened, because it had been so long. Fortunately, there was another girl that had also come forward, and her statement was almost word for word the kind of thing that I had. And she was 14 at the time, so she was even younger than I am, or than I was at the time. Because that had happened before it had happened with me, I believe. But there are other girls that it had happened to as well with the same guy. Some of them, I think they did not report it to the police, or they filed one, but then they withdrew it because he has a very toxic family, and they had basically intimidated some of these girls into not testifying, not pressing charges, whatever. This just goes to show how sick his family really, really is. And even on the day of his sentencing, I was there. My husband was there with me. My detective Higgins was there with me, and my victim witness advocate Stephanie was with me. Amazing team. The DA, absolutely amazing. Amazing man. I had gotten a chance to be able to speak at his sentencing, and I had wrote down this little thing when I was working one day. It was amazing. It was very empowering. I was able to I talked directly at him. He could not look me in the eyes. I talked directly at him. And he got sentenced, I believe, 15 years as his sentence. So he's in there for a little while. And the look on his face when they told him, I mean, he couldn't even go back and say bye to his family, his fiance, nothing. Like that was it. You're out the door, buddy. And that was a very, very empowering feeling. And it's something that I have held on to so strongly for as long as it has been since this has happened. And I've really been able to gain a lot of strength and power from it happening. And I've been able to do a lot of searching, because there is so much that goes into all that. There's so much that goes into life and everything happening around us, because not only am I dealing with these past thorns in my side, these things in my past, I'm also dealing with the current. I'm dealing with my mom, my brother, my birth father passed away. I'm still in contact with my stepfather. I have my husband, I have my kids, like I have my every single day life. So life is always coming at you, so that it's like you have all these things that you're kind of taking from behind you, and they're not things that you're necessarily hanging on to, and they're your ball and chain that you're bringing with you, but it's stuff that you're still living with, and you're still bringing it to the surface with you. And then you add into the mix your current life and all the things that you take care of now, because now that I've been able to work through all these different things in my life, I have time in my head, I have peace in my head to be able to organize my thoughts and to organize what I want out of life. What is it that I want for me out of my life? What am I going to do for myself to make me be where I want to be? And I've had a lot of different perspectives. I've had a lot of different influences, and all these things that have been around me, when I was raised, and principles I've been given, and just life lessons I have learned over the years have really, really helped me become a very empowered young lady. I love that word, empowered. It's such a good word. I had also grown up in a very Christian household, but it was nothing like super boxy religious type of Christian household. My pastors growing up were phenomenal. They're still phenomenal people. I still get to speak with them every chance I get. Sometimes I see them around Pennsylvania, and it makes me happy. But anyways, I had spent a summer there one time. And I really didn't say much, like they didn't really know much about the issues that I was having. I was 17 when I stayed there, and I had helped out with their corn business, and it was so fun. I was a little farmer girl. I liked it though. I always talk about that to people. It's just so much. It wasn't even about what I was doing. What I was doing was great, but it was just about the mind, and then just the area that I was in with them. Oh my God, breathtaking. I mean, there's so many different things in that time being there that really, really helped me. Now for the long run, I still had a lot of stuff to work through, but being around them, it really gave me back my value as a person, because I was not valuing myself. I wasn't looking in the mirror and respecting the person that I saw in the mirror. I had actually gotten, I'm gonna get emotional. I had actually gotten a doll stand from my pastor, his wife, Miss Gina, wonderful woman. She actually gave me this doll stand. I don't remember if it was when I came back or if it was before that, but she gave me this doll stand anyways. Just like the little metal thing that you put a doll in. And she said, I'm going to give this to you because this is to stand you up, because you need to stand yourself up. And it was such a strong message that I have held on to since the time that she had gifted me this wonderful thing. And you would look at it and think, okay, what the heck is this little thing? This is nothing. But I actually have it. I'm in my little home office in my room, and I actually have it sitting right on top of my armoire over here. And it just resonated with me, because after this had happened with me, after I was going through this tough time, I just felt like trash. And so many people out there don't, you just don't want to feel like crappy feelings. But I did. I felt like complete garbage. I felt like a used piece of trash to throw me on the side of the road. And it just escalated so much more with all the circumstances surrounding me and all the things around me, all this doubt, all this negativity that I had around me. I had my mom supporting me, my brother and his girlfriend supporting me, and then after a little while, my girlfriends from school started supporting me because I was able to go to them and say, hey, I know you guys heard this, but this isn't true. And it had actually ended up happening that one of my girlfriends knew this guy and had gone to see a movie with him before and had come very close to the same thing that had happened to me, except she left. It was a different scenario she was in, but she did not get a good vibe from him and she left. So she knew him, and it was a very well-known thing about this guy that this was the way that he was. He was a serial rapist. So there's just so much into it, and I don't know if I'm going all over. I know this has been really long, and I appreciate it if you've actually taken the time to listen to this whole thing, because I could just be rambling, but I just want to share part of my truth with people so that you can understand, and then if it opens you up, or open up a conversation, or talk to your loved ones, talk to somebody, even if it's just to have the conversation about, hey, I heard this today, how does this make you feel? What is your perspective? What is your take on something like this? Because I'm like that with my husband. You know, he didn't really quite understand in the beginning about rape and how all these things work, and, you know, just the feelings, the effects, how to treat, how to talk, all those kind of different things. It just was not something that came to him. And it, you know, so there was a lot of kind of talking through where I had to tell him, like, hey, I need this, like, this, we gotta be sensitive about this. Or not that he wasn't sensitive, but there were just times where he could really use a little bit of, like, guidance when it came to these things. So anyways, yeah, it brought me where I am now. With my grandmother passing away, it has been a very weird road, because I have been at peace with it, but I have just felt empty, because I was very close with my grandmother. I have so many memories as a kid with her, and just doing things for her around her house, and when she was here living with us, just taking her shopping and just doing all these things, because my grandmother was like my mom. I'm very close to my mom. I was very close to my grandmother. We all look alike. I've got my little daughter who looks like us too. So it was like there's this 4-generation thing because of my grandmother, and because of my mom, and because of me, and then now my daughter. And someday when my daughter has kids, which I don't want to think about that because she's only 3, but yeah, so it just has brought up a lot, because then there are things within that have really triggered me even more, because my grandmother did not know that had happened to me, and I could not bear to even tell my grandmother that it had happened to me, because I couldn't do it. I just could not bring myself to do it. And you know, so there's just been a lot of different feelings I've had to work through in that as well. And then, of course, you know, just hearing my friend's 12-year-old girlfriend, not actual girlfriend, but friend girl, killing herself. I know that sounds really rough. I know that doesn't sound very nice to the ears, but plainly, like, that just breaks my heart. So I really feel like we just need to encourage each other, encourage one another to just be open with each other, and just stop holding the chains, stop guarding yourself, stop being afraid of your feelings, stop being afraid of each other, and just be okay being vulnerable with the right people and talking about things. And if someone comes to you, please listen to them. Just be open to the things that they have to say. Hear what they're telling you. Feel what they're telling you. Don't sit there and try to solve their problem. Don't sit there and speak ahead of them. Don't sit there and think for them. Allow them the safe space to just talk about something. And if you don't know what to say, if what they're saying makes you uncomfortable, just be there for them. And just tell them, hey, I hear you, and I can tell you're in a lot of pain. I really don't know what to say, but I want to help you get I want to help you get to the right place. I want to help you get to the people that you need to help you. And do that for them. Connect them. Be there for them. Check in on those people. Don't forget about those people. Don't just shove someone off to the side. And if you have done something like that in the past to somebody, and you're now thinking about it like, oh my God, I remember I did have someone like that and I didn't believe them, you know, and then you ended up seeing something in the news about it. You feel like a piece of shit. You know, so I just really just goes to show how much we need to stop being so damn selfish about ourselves and be selfless. I tell my husband that all the time. In a marriage, in a relationship, anything, you have to be selfless. I try to be as selfless as possible, not forgetting about me, not selfless as in you don't take care of yourself, you're not taking care of your mental health, you're not taking care of your body, any of those things, but selfless as in you don't make decisions based on how what you're going to get back. Okay, I can love you unconditionally. I don't care if you don't love me back. I'm gonna love you unconditionally. Okay, I had to cremate my father, my birth father, who I hadn't spoken to in a couple years, and the moment I got to see him before they cremated him, I loved him, and I knew that I did. He may have loved me back at some point, but we just did not have that relationship. And I had gone through a lot of different feelings in that aspect alone. I had gone through a lot of different feelings, but it was an unconditional thing at that moment for me, that even though we had gone through so many different obstacles, even though I had so much pain and hurt and anger towards him, I was the person taking care of him. I was the person putting him to rest. And all of those feelings just went, because I got to know him so much more while he was sitting in my ashes bin than I did when he was here in the flesh. And I just had so much more of a different perspective on things. So anyways, to stop sitting here rambling and hoping that you've actually listened to this whole thing and gotten something from it, and I appreciate if you have taken the time to do this. It's been kind of a back and forth thing for me that I've kind of just thought about, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. I'm not really big on social media and sharing personal stuff on social media, but I just really feel like you're only on this earth once. There has been so much badness around us. We have so much going on in our world right now. Half of it we may not even know that's going on because we're being so distracted by things that the media wants to give us. But yeah, we just really need to join together and just really educate people, educate one another on different objectives, different things in our life that can happen, and just really be a lot more open with our lives and just with people, and just love each other more, and love each other from a place of pure innocence, and loving each other because we want to love each other, not because we're expecting something back, not because we feel obligated, just living our lives and just being at peace and loving one another and hearing one another, reaching out to one another, and just being there as a whole glowing unified party, just being there for each other. So yeah, thank you for listening to me. Thanks for enduring my ridiculous looking hair. Yeah.